put up our disclaimer banner real quick.
I will do that.
Even
We are
though
live.
If anybody by even listening to any of this is accepting the contract that we aren't saying anything, it's important. So you got to do your own research and figure it out yourself. We're one of many sources you have.
There you go. Sounds good, Joe.
I just see all these people being so overly protective about stuff everywhere. Well, what they say, and I'm kind of like, you can give an opinion. You know, I mean, that's what we're doing.
Exactly.
Giving opinions.
It's just our opinions.
To me, yeah. You know how many people give me opinions every day?
Yep. Are you on VPN?
Yeah, sorry. 20 people. So, and not all of them are smart.
Well, wives. Ex-wives.
Yeah. Good God. Does it ever end? I guess.
I am so thankful I didn't have children with my first wife.
Yeah, I didn't. Luckily, I'm going to disconnect from the VPN, so I don't want to. I want to keep this thread going for a second. Right.
Joe wants to talk bad about his ex-wife. All right, here we go.
Yeah, no, that made that one a lot easier. The ones with kids, they're a little harder, but it's just hard because you have to still deal with everything, like when you were married.
Yeah,
you can't still just tell them to go pound sand; it doesn't fly.
No,
if you want to have any type of decent childhood for your kids.
Yep.
So you still got to eat it all the time, just like when you were married. The only difference is that you can actually hang up the phone and not have to worry about what's going to happen when you get home.
Exactly. Exactly.
Or if there's going to be a pan of boiling grease poured in your ear.
So happy Monday. It's funny. We woke up this morning to what looked like a pretty sizable dump on its way. And then we seem to be rebounding, sir.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's like what we've been saying for the last couple of weeks, months, whatever, that, this is just going to be volatile for a while until other market issues straighten out. In my mind, it's really a lot about, when you start taking stimulus out of economies, you start, the cash flow gets smaller. There's less money. So people have to make decisions again and, decide what to do. So I think when that
eat, home, no home.
Yeah. Stock buyback for $1 trillion, no stock buyback for $1 trillion. We're all facing these tough choices. But,
I rent down here and my fucking landlord went for 40% increase after 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And a very sizable amount of money paid to him over those 11 years. Like buy this house and another half of one sizable money. Anyway, we're negotiating. So
it's all life's a squabble.
Yeah,
that was the one thing I didn't realize when I was a kid, that you're going to be squabbling over everything continuously. And in the moment you get to just kind of chill out and crack a beer or whatever, or taste the salt on a rim of a margarita glass and just sit down for a second and catch your breath, that's when the next fucking shoe drops.
Damn, you fucking killing me today. Woo! Joe on fire.
Yeah, and then you gotta just eat that one. And then go to the next one. I mean, it's
Mr. Positive.
No, but I am very positive.
I know you are. I'm just busting you.
I think you got to be super positive, but just recognize that all the little shit's going to happen continuously, no matter what you do.
That's right.
And the moment you hit the home run, score the winning touchdown or whatever, 2 seconds later, there's somebody sticking a knife in your back.
Everything is temporary, right? And look, emotions, happiness, sadness, all of that temporary. They're just thoughts. They're just states of mind. Ultimately, shit's going to happen, and it's how you handle what comes at you that makes your life good or bad, right? And wow, we're going deep here. It's been my philosophy for a long time I'm the guy that doesn't react to a lot of shit. I mean, I get pissed off, I get upset, I get sad, whatever. But and I fully credit meditation for that. But drives my family crazy because I don't respond to shit. I don't get freaked out. I just go, okay, I'm facing this. Let's either solve it or accept it. Right. Those are the two options when the shit hits the fan. Solve it or accept it. And anything else is just suffering, right? Like any other way of approaching a problem that comes your way is suffering, because that's what you're choosing. You're choosing to fucking wallow in it and be upset, or solve it or accept it. So,
well, eventually you're going to be in like grappling mode somewhere along the way of a problem.
Yeah.
And it's either, if you see it coming at you, like, 50 yards down the road, you can maneuver and maybe avoid it. Situations and problems, but a lot of times you just have to maneuver around the problems and figure out when to attack the problem.
Yep.
And I think that's the thing that people, when you accept that it's always going to be that. It's like, I don't know if you did any wrestling when you were a kid.
I actually was a wrestler. Yeah.
Okay. And I was never quite that any good at it. I'd get too tired. And, but I would, but other sports I was good at, I just, the whole, wrestling is hard. I mean, you're using every muscle in your body and you're using a lot of leverage and things like that. So I guess to me, I think that it's that where you're kind of getting in that position where you're starting, and, a lot of times someone's in that position on the floor and the other person's kind of in that position where they have like one arm over their shoulder, and you're getting ready to you got to try to grab that one arm and pull them in that first move to put them at a disadvantage. It's all that maneuvering is what I'm getting at. Well, life is just like that.
Yeah.
And every problem is just like that. And you're kind of always grappling for like some kind of an advantage to keep going. And if you can accept that, then, then everything's easy.
Yeah.
Because you do get hit with the big shit occasionally, of course, the big stuff. And everybody gets hit with that. And it's just a matter of surviving that kind of stuff. But the little stuff, that's just, if you're going to be in business and investing and doing things like that, or art or creating or anything, you're going to deal with setbacks continuously.
Yep.
I mean, everybody's going to tell you, you suck, you can't do it. Or, you F up and fail. They're going to be like, told you, you suck. And then, most people will then go slink back to their room and hide and cry and whine and whatever. But, instead you got to just take that shot, compose yourself, and come back out for round two.
That's right.
But make sure you can, if you go into a 1-on-10 bar fight drunk with everybody else has guns and you don't have anything, you're probably going to lose that one.
Yeah.
So, that's why you got to be smart when you trade.
Yeah.
And, have some stack left, do different things. So when I kind of like look at all of this, the way all of this is going on now, I just don't know which way it's all. I mean, again, I don't think it goes to zero. I don't know when it takes off, but to me, all these markets, it's kind of like there's a bunch of sloshiness going on, and everybody's trying to see where it's, where to go next. But, one thing I was thinking about today in the crypto folks is that, we talk about stable coins a lot, particularly U.S. regulatory stuff. Well, I keep, forgetting nowadays, because I'm always in that framework of leaving everything in BTC or ETH. I keep forgetting that that's really everybody's dry powder.
Of course. Yeah.
And so, when the people that have that dry powder, when they get comfortable at these prices of BTC or ETH, get to the level they want to see it at, they're going to come pouring in at various levels. And I look at ETH and I see ETH at 3,000 right now, 3,060. I mean, we've seen it, at 4,800, I think. Did it ever get to 5? No, I don't think so,
was
right?
All-time high. Hold on. No. Well,
did it ever get there? I'm going to pull it up over here too. Let me look at got 48.68 is what I see on Binance. Okay. So I guess my point is, if you go back to like March on ETH, you're looking at like 2,000 still. I seem to remember watching ETH go to like 1,800, 1,600 back in the March timeframe, and really worrying about that a little bit. And then it did its big run and then its big dump.
Yep.
Because Bitcoin kind of went first and ETH came behind that. And now, we're all trying to figure out where everything's going. I just don't, if you're in for the long haul, I don't see anything really here that you do other than maybe wait to see if it dips harder and buy more.
DCA, yeah. I mean, that's it. Like it's if you're in, you're in, right? If you're dumping now, you're just burning money. You're just burning money. I get it. People make the mistake of not listening to the rules about don't invest more than you can afford to lose and all that good stuff, right? People do it. They get excited and they jump in, and then the rent's counting on what your value is in crypto. And that's a problem, because when these things happen, you got to wait. And I don't think your landlord's going to wait for the Ethereum price to jump back up, right?
Yeah, so, it's going to want 40% more.
Exactly.
Right, when you're hitting it.
And that's when that shit happens.
Yeah, and then you're like, look, two directions coming at you, man. It's like money coming in, go down, money going out, go up. Not
so
good.
All in is not smart. And, not having more than what you can afford to lose is not smart. Not taking profit, not smart. Now, we all make these mistakes. We all get excited. We all get caught up in the euphoria of a bull run, and probably do more than we should. But the bottom line is, now, if you look at the data, and historically, Ethereum and Bitcoin for 10 years have been the best performing assets of the entire world. So if you look at the data, there are always dumps, and then there's always a higher high. So, you make your own decisions, but my own personal decision, my own opinion for myself is I'm riding it. And in the projects I'm in that I really believe in, that print tokens for me, like Time and Memo and Ohm, I'm printing more tokens and I'm waiting. The cool thing is, when something's printing tokens for you and then the market turns around, that's an exponential increase, right? So for me, that's my approach right now. Chilling out, watching what happens. It's kind of interesting to watch. Trying to do more with what we're doing with the club, because this is a good time, buy-in time. So speaking of that, real quick, we are at the last. Joe is doing one last review of our investment club agreement today. And then we will get that posted up for everybody to sign electronically with your wallet. And then we will start voting on the projects. And then we will remit, all of us will remit our investments into the fund wallet, or into the investment club wallet. And you will receive tokens, the We're Forked tokens, to represent your stake in the investment club. And we'll all be off to the races, Joe.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about that. I mean, it's always tough at the tail end of these corrections in anything. Yeah. And there has been a kind of a bit of a washout in a lot of the Ohm forks and things like that, just in the sense that, look, if you got in at $1 or something and it goes to 80 after the last couple of weeks, I mean, you wouldn't be selling that. I would.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of people selling and repositioning, waiting for the corrections. And once everybody gets the feeling that it's go time, then you're going to see all, the capital coming back in.
Yep.
Not just these coins, but other things too. And so, to me, the rebase place is an ideal place to go right now, or at least in the next couple of weeks, thinking out over 6 to 12 months. Because I think as part of an overall portfolio, that's a nice diversification play that could be, your biggest gainers of the year.
Yeah.
So to me, I like that. It has index kind of attributes too, because we're going across 20 or 30 of them.
Yep.
And having different strategies of what you do with that and where it goes, and anything new everybody's got to vote on. So I think it has a really cool, fire and forget capability about it. You don't have to keep looking at it. And I think everybody's pleasantly surprised. I mean, I kind of went back and looked at the, Fortress and Unis DAO and even Life DAO, once or twice a week now. I'm not looking every day.
Right.
Just because I'm always surprised at how many there are there.
Yeah.
And so when I come back and I see that this has been clipping along at multiple tokens a day, And I'm like, holy shit, you're doubling this almost. You're not really doubling it every week, but you feel like you're getting close to doubling the numbers of tokens every month.
Yep.
When you're at those higher numbers, so it's pleasant feeling. But I'm not looking to DCA onto that anymore because the rebasing is doing that for me.
Yep.
So now we're looking for the next opportunities, and so I'm kind of spending some other time, just so looking at again the top 20 DeFi tokens that I like the best, and where they are off their all-time highs, and start thinking about those too and how those tie into our rebase strategies. So that's something I think we need to also
and I think one of the things I want to probably look. I mean, the theme of this thing was supposed to be rebase tokens and own forks. That's why we call it We're Fork. But I've been assessing, we've been talking about things that are undervalued like Phantom and like Frax, which is not so undervalued anymore, FXS. But projects that have good fundamentals, good return on investment, we think have room to grow, will come out of this thing happy. And even ETH and BTC, WBTC. I'm thinking we may want to offer it up for a vote to the community and say, hey, do you want to add to the mix some other tokens? So, and we'll see what people say. That said, I've bid a little more on WMemo, and I bought some redacted. Would have liked to have bought it today instead of last week, but I'm excited to see where Butterfly goes because I think that one's got big potential on the curve play. So, let's see, Joe. You sent me a link to Terra to deploy 139 million in DeFi projects to enhance UST use cases.
Yeah. Now, if you okay, I sent you a couple of links, but that one I was thinking what got me going was when we remember that Terra and what is it? What are the other ones that they're built on the Cosmos software development toolkit, and so and Terra being having UST as a stable, and that they're
and it's a blockchain based around the stable, right? I mean,
yes.
That's the whole idea, right?
Yeah. So it's I've been looking at. I was in Terra when it was like 67 cents or 68 cents back in like February. I think I sold it like huge home run at like $4 or $5.
Nice.
And of course, I think it's at like 35 or 70 or something now. But the point is, I put it in the Solana category. It's the one I keep trying to get to. Right. So, I like that as anytime people are putting up development pools or developer pools, I like that.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd throw that one in there. I was curious about your thoughts.
I think this has a lot of potential. I love seeing these investments like this. It looks like they're going into Tokamak, Rari, Olympus DAO, and Invictus DAO with these funds. I think that's a good move. Those are all solid projects, right?
Yeah. No, and look, these guys originally were all about stablecoin pools, a year ago. Right. Whenever I first started. Honestly, I lost track of them after a while, but now I saw that there's a lot of that stablecoin. There's some attributes to it that are different from the other ones that doesn't have the regulators as freaked out. And I'm not sure if it's because it's pegging off of like multiple stablecoin pairs to get to its value, if it's being algorithmically driven that way. Right. Or if there's something else, but there's something there that the market has really liked about this.
Sure.
From when I first started looking at it a year ago, and it had been around a while before that too, if I'm not mistaken. So it's one, look, we talk about wanting more exposure, and Terra and Solana, this is a reason to keep looking at Terra.
Right.
And then UST as a token, what I heard from the regulators is that they're not as squeamish about this one as they are about, say, USDT.
Interesting.
And it might be because of the physical backing. I don't know. There might be something more tangible to it than the USDT explanation. So that's one I think we should start. Let's start expanding a little more into Terra, and start. Obviously, Solana might already have spent its load already have gotten a lot of interest for the last year or so. money might rotate from there to somewhere else. Like you kind of saw a little of that with AVAX. Maybe Phantom's where it goes. Maybe Arbitrum. But I think their network was down. I saw somewhere today. So
Arbitrum yesterday had an outage with one of their components of the system. And so they had about 284 blocks that didn't get written, but they recovered from it. There was fucking what's this Maxi's name? Shit, I can't remember his name. Anyway, there's a maximalist, a Bitcoin maximalist who posted, who tweeted that are basically making a joke about it not being decentralized. So I replied to him with the two massive Bitcoin bugs that happened in the first 3 years of Bitcoin's existence. That caused 1 billion inflation in Bitcoin, and they had to roll back the chain. And then the other one where there was a problem with the wallet and a bug, and they had to roll back. And it's just like, look, I'm okay with you criticizing whatever you want to criticize, but just don't be a dumb shit about it. Like, nothing starts decentralized. And your dream that somehow fucking Bitcoin didn't start off or still doesn't have problems is just stupid. So
we'll see. When people talk like that, that guy, these maxis, no matter whatever side of the fence you're on, that's what makes us start looking more, Mary Kay-ish or Herbalife or more cultish or multi-level marketing. And I think that's not the where you want to take this. I think if I'm a promoter and I'm a Bitcoin true believer, I'm a believer. I'm not really a true believer in anything, though, to be honest. But with Bitcoin in particular, I kind of get it. I get the arguments and why they think they're special and this and that. But at the same time, you want the rest of the space to blow up too. Because then if you could turn the altcoin space into a $5 trillion space, then the BTC space, should be in the $5 to $7 trillion range at that point.
Those guys just fucking, they think anything besides Bitcoin is a shit coin, and they're not gonna ever see any reason or value. So Eamon said UST is based off the price of Luna, kinda, sorta. It's like a higher risk Frax, kinda. Okay, yeah. So it's the psychological play on supply and demand of the coin. So, and then he said, and convex. Real quick, Andre Cronje is giving out more details on this V33 that they're doing. And in a blog post he put on Medium about 2 hours ago. And I'm just going to read the bullets real quick. So they're launching this new protocol. I don't think they've decided yet when, but we'll see if it's here in the post. It's a new AMM. It natively supports swaps between closely correlated assets via a new curve or stable swaps, it says. Mm-hmm. Natively supports swaps between uncorrelated assets. Will have a 0.01% fee. Fees are paid out in base assets, not converted. Uniswap version 2 compatible interface allows support for all existing analytics tools and interfaces. So they're going to basically allow you to connect anything else you're using to it. Permissionlessly can create pools. Permissionless support for gauges and bribes, which that's cool. A la the whole curve war stuff. Mm-hmm. Emission incentivizes fees instead of liquidity. So the emissions of the token will incentivize fees instead of liquidity. I don't know. Native support for adding third-party tokens and incentives. V33 lockers accumulate all fees for pools they vote emission on. The lockers increase holdings proportional to emission, no dilution. Lockers vote on emission with circulating supply decay. He's got another article on that. Natively supports delegation. Locks are represented as non-fungible tokens to allow capital efficiency of locks. No DAO. So this is just going to be an algorithmic play, I guess. So anyway, building for protocols. Currently, AMMs are primarily for LPs. This is natural because when most AMMs launched, token incentives did not exist. Today, AMMs are primarily for projects, either through token incentives, bootstrapping liquidity, or even protocol-owned liquidity. Other protocols are the new MM users. Current AMs need a few modifications to make it easy for protocols to leverage them. Must be able to easily add token incentives, must be able to easily bribe token emissions, must be able to accrue fees from liquidity, must be able to permissionlessly deploy your liquidity. All the above is doable, blah, 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 blah. The AME is quite saturated. We do not want to launch an AM to compete with existing projects. For that reason, it was designed with Protocol 2 protocol architecture in mind. Initial distribution. So they were deciding between do an auction, create an FTM/token pool and burn the LP tokens, decide the first pool and votes, not very decentralized. Airdrop, but if an airdrop is successful, it needs to go to the correct participants. As we can see from CRV and CRX distribution, those participants are predominantly protocols. We ended up deciding on an ecosystem distribution before launch. We will take a TVL shot off of DeFi Llama. So it almost sounds like he's going to do an airdrop to protocols who are buying up CRV and CVX, but it's hard to tell. Yeah.
It almost sounded too like he didn't like the fact that the airdrop was going to protocols.
But he's doing it. Locked V3 tokens will be given to each project in the top 20 on DeFi Llama. It is then up to each project to create their pools and vote for their initial distribution or have their communities vote for their distribution. It is up to them to decide what they will incentivize, be it their own token, stablecoin, or other liquidity. The timeline for this will thus be 2 weeks post-protocol launch until distribution starts. Oh, he's got more here. Wow. Okay, so he's posting a lot. Something on his fee distribution plan. All right, so we'll read through this, and maybe we could talk about it some more tomorrow if we get through it. But interesting. I got to tell you, I think anything that this is the thing with him and Danielle from Abracadabra, and I think a couple of other players involved, but
with the sushi angle, right? The sushi and multi-chain.
Yeah, somehow sushi will get tied into it, I think.
And multi-chain.
Yep. But if they're launching an AMM, maybe it's a little bit of competitive with sushi, or maybe it's launching with sushi. I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, speaking of airdrops, I'm not sharing, am I? So I'm just not sharing, just reading through my screen. And
I was going, that's how unbrad that is.
So unbrad. Why isn't it letting me choose what to share?
That's probably why you weren't sharing screen. Is that Mac?
Here we go. Shut the fuck up.
Going on
just
over
shut
there.
up. Just shut up. Steve Jobs is going to fucking haunt your ass. Here we go. So I found this screenshot. This spreadsheet, and it's actually really good. Hold on. It's this massive airdrop rumors spreadsheet, and has what you got to do and how you get them and what the project is and everything else. So I'll share the link to this on Twitter, and in the Discord. But it's an awesome list, and I think they're updating it pretty regularly. So, but there's a big list of potential airdrops, and they make it clear these are rumors. They're not definitive, but still looks like there's some opportunities for free money while you're sitting around waiting for ETH and BTC to come back up.
Yeah, no, I got to look more at those too, because there's a lot of the big airdrops that have been coming for a while. Like the big MetaMask one supposedly, and then there's a big OpenSea Polygon one coming, I heard.
Yep.
So, and then I don't know if Paraswap did theirs yet, or there's an Arbitrum one, because there's like a whole bunch of stuff that's been talking about. And I just got to get back on top of that. We also need to kind of jump back on. These markets are also good for yield farming. And while I'm not really in anything right now, yield farming that I can think of off the top of my head, it's something to look at. The pairing with a stable on a token that you're already holding in a wallet, and just get the distribution and dump it. Yeah,
it's funny. Yesterday morning, I was doing this is interesting because yesterday morning I was doing Eamon said, "Holy smokes, this is dope." I don't know if he's talking about. I don't know if he posted.
He's talking about the sushi stuff that when you were
about reading. The Andre Granier thing. Yeah, it looks dope, doesn't it, man? So I was walking through one of my business partners who has not tried DeFi yet through basic DeFi concepts yesterday morning, and that's my business partners in material indicators. We'd have tools for centralized trading. Anyway, he said to me, so I walked him through the initial concepts of swaps, how AMMs work, and then I walked him through yield farming, right? Liquidity pools. I showed him yield farming. I showed him what happens, how it functions. I explained impermanent loss. And then I took him to Olympus DAO. And he's like, what the fuck? Of course, that's everybody's reaction when they see the APY, right? He's like, what the fuck? What is that shit? What is that? So then I explained to him how Olympus DAO works and how it's a reserve currency and how the APY changes and how the community voted to reduce the APY and how, the functionality of it, everything else. He goes, well, with impermanent loss, why would fucking anybody go do that when this is here? And I said, well, it's a good question, and it's why it was created, right? The reason the Olympus DAO was created was because liquidity pools suck, and he wanted to create a reserve currency. And it's a hard thing to say, but you're right. When you pair these up with stables, there's a lot of in and out you can do to make a lot of money, and you can earn. And I talked to him about timing. I talked to him about, it's a much more hands-on process, yield farming, right? But I guess the point is that there's opportunities in all kinds of formats, and there will be more of these coming and more models coming out. So, I do think that there's some opportunities for yield farming in this down market, at least especially if we sit sideways for a while, right? If we play this sideways game for a while and everything kind of maintains its price, then, printing new tokens is great. Of course, then you're playing that role of dumping because you want to get your profits out before everybody else does. But I think there's some opportunities. So
yeah, and it's better than just sitting there, doing nothing. And also stable coin pairs, straight up stables, and go get 12-15% pretty easily right now.
Yeah,
and you don't have issues with the value changing.
That's right.
I mean, if I remember, like you said, when the Ohm stuff came out, the big discussion going on then was about impermanent loss protection. And everybody was talking about, there was a bunch of new ones popping up talking about impermanent loss protection. Everybody's talking about impermanent loss. And I don't know if that's how that's worked or not. It's one aspect of it. But everybody's trying to fix those things in the yield farming. And you don't have those with stable coins.
Yep.
So, go get
you can have, if you're single token staking, or if you're just staking or yield farming stable to stable, absolutely, unless something loses its peg. Now, obviously, if you're yielding off of stables and token X, then that can be an issue.
That's different. Yeah.
I mean, absolutely.
But my feeling is, if you pair USDC against USDT, and if something goes wrong in those stable pool pairs, i.e., something decouples, you're fucked every which way but loose at that point. Everywhere else. So it doesn't really even matter. You just kind of, it's a good way to go get 12%, 15%. But still, I think that there's something there, with the yield farming beyond stable coins too. If you're holding a stock, then single stable pair it and put it somewhere and get, weren't we getting 150% at one point a couple months ago on?
Yep.
Or maybe it was 60%. I don't know. But single token pairing, it was decent numbers. So, again, strategies for when it's going sideways until, one day it becomes up only again.
Yep.
So a few other macro things that caught my eye this morning, doom and gloom macro, let's say, but not necessarily. More Chinese developer, real estate development stuff. Another one like Shamal's now selling every piece of property they have. But the cool part I took out of this couple of articles I read this morning is that, now they're making it easier for the SOEs to buy the property developers. SOE is a state-owned enterprise. And, these have been lingering over there since the 90s, bloated with capital that, was basically loaned out to companies, when it was full-blown communist. And those loans were, of course, not underwritten to any degree of semblance of any type of banking standard. It was kind of like a slush pool, dumping job for everybody in the government.
Sounds familiar.
So they're all just riddled with debt, and they won't bankrupt them because it's just going to cascade through the economy.
Of course.
So, what you do is then you fund one, and then, basically let it buy up all the losses. Kind of similar to what happened, I think, here with the 2008 banking crisis.
Exactly.
A lot of that shit it's just disappeared. So they got these SOEs now in play there, which means they'll buy up all the debt and they won't let it tank. So it'll be, sitting somewhere on these, vulture funds, just waiting for when the markets rebound. But so to me, that's a good thing. It'll
Yep.
allow these companies to mark to market. I think the Western and the offshore investors in these projects have all gotten plenty of notice, that it's time to start renegotiating. So at this point, I think they've probably all constructed all their counter positions in other sectors and stuff to offset. Like, if real estate goes under in China, what goes up?
Right.
So they're already over there. So to me, I think that's good news. I saw that like Goldman's expecting 4 rate increases next year. I saw somebody else talking about beginning to talk about the quantitative tightening, which is undoing the Fed's balance sheet. Like whenever you hear talk about balance sheet, they're talking about that.
Right.
Talking about July. So you start to see a little more talk about that, which, will allow the markets to kind of absorb things sequentially. So, well, I do say how everything's all frothy and, that there's got to be some like trimming here to come. Maybe it is manageable.
Yeah.
Maybe with the U.S. dollar being there's no other currency that the Chinese currency, no, forget about it. It can't hold up. The only one that can really hold everything together right now still is the dollar. And, if we're talking mainly about dollar economy issues too,
Right.
Here. So I think it's all good news, but that doesn't mean that the stock market couldn't go off 20% one week, just like that for
Right.
no reason.
Right.
Just because people go, well, fuck it, I'm taking my money. But then it'll come back. So I think, we're in as good a place as we could be. I mean, obviously, I'd like to see no debt and shit, but.
Yeah. So NASDAQ stack. So there's a record number of NASDAQ stocks down 50% or more. 40% of the indexes firms have fallen by half from 1-year highs. Investors are selling first, figuring out rest later. There's going to be some sales if you're playing stocks.
Yeah, and you've been running for now 12 years. So, post Great Recession. So it's 11 or 12 years. I mean, with the pandemic setback, but look, that really, I think anybody that was in stocks in March 2020 is in stocks more.
Yeah.
Now.
Yep.
They still made a ton of money. So,
quick note for everybody. I put that airdrop. I made a bit.ly for the airdrop. So it's bit.ly/MD airdrop. M as in mission, D as in DeFi airdrop. If you guys want to take a look at that spreadsheet, that's just a redirect link to the spreadsheet, bit.ly/MD airdrop. Got it on the screen now for those of you watching. But I'm also going to post it to the Discord. If you have not joined the Discord yet, please get in there. Even if you're not going to join We're Forked, you can still join our Discord and take part in all of the other discussions that are happening there. If you want to get into We're Forked, really need everybody to finally sign up on the Google form, no later than, let's say, Tuesday at midnight, Joe?
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should have the other piece wrapped up today.
That way by Wednesday, we've got everybody voting, signing, voting, putting their money in, getting their tokens. So everybody, please, if you're going to sign up, please go ahead and do that. And join our Discord. I'll post it again on Twitter. And if you want to get it from me directly, you can DM me at B05 Crypto on Telegram and Twitter, B05 Crypto, Telegram and Twitter, or B05 Crypto #2143 on Discord, B05 Crypto #2143 on Discord. Joe, it looks like we may break. Well, we've already broken out like 127,000 committed in there. So
nice.
Yeah, I think we could break. We were close to 129,000, but there was one duplicate entry. I think somebody filled it out twice with 2 different amounts. So anyway, excited to get that rolling. Finally, we've been at it too long, but sometimes these things take time. Now that we have it, though, puts us in a good position to do other things.
Well, yeah. So look, this could be the rebase fund that we talk about. Yep. When we talk about different, like almost like ETFs or index type funds or sector plays, maybe another one could be, downstream, just high end yield farming stuff. Yep. Maybe another one can be, the ones that kind of the DAOI projects that aren't forks.
Yep.
Different plays there. Or it could be almost like a VC fund investing in those early.
Yep.
There's different ways to do this. I'm really excited to see how this one turns out, though, because I see these tokens. It's so, just it's such a good place right now. If you're doing a big diversified scatter play and
Right.
see who comes out, that, I think in 6 to 12 months, it could look pretty attractive.
Yeah, and look, I think it has a ton of potential for a longer term gain if you're printing tokens and you're in the right projects. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Real quick, I was reading a couple of other posts about fundamentals, et cetera, et cetera. So I posted up a tweet, wanted to start getting people's responses to it. Oh, if this will open. Somebody has replied. Oh, good old friend Hot Sauce. So I just posted a tweet up and I said, fundamentals, what have you got? So I said, what projects pay holders from revenue? What are the sources of that revenue? Is this a project that solves a fundamental problem? Does this project have opportunity in real life? Is the team strong enough to harness what they have? And then I asked people to post the token and their URL. I'm just curious, right? I was thinking about, could we create a list of projects that actually reward holders from revenue, right? Directly, not token value and emissions and anything else. What projects are doing that, and what projects that do that have kind of a fundamentals play or have a play that can transition to traditional finance, real life, real estate, whatever it may be. I don't know what it is, but I'm just curious if there's projects out there I haven't heard about that have some potential from that perspective. So,
yeah, no, I think you're getting to that area where, when a lot of these projects start, it's more about the financial angle of it, what happens. And now you're kind of getting into the area that we also talk about a lot, which is the execution risk.
Yep.
And when you start talking about revenue,
yep,
for the project, because we look at, like, say, I'll just pick one of them, Fortress, or Unistal. There isn't any revenue there, at least not at the beginning. And then they got to go build something that creates revenue. But it seems to me, I saw some data, I thought it was today, but some people that are actually tracking PE type ratios on some of these big DeFi. I don't know where I saw it.
I saw that too. Maybe it was one of the links I sent in to you. But yeah, okay. I mean, look, and somebody else, I just had the tweet open, but I don't have it right now. Somebody else made the point that, when you look at Ethereum relative to revenue, right, fees that are coming in, they were making a pretty strong argument that it's undervalued, right? And look, I mean, I just listened to the Vitalik interview on Bankless, and that's when Bankless is worth listening to, is when it's somebody that is on their side perceptually, then they allow the discussion to get where it needs to get instead of trying to, even there in that conversation, they tried to manipulate even Vitalik. They asked him how he feels about maximalism, and he basically said it sucks and we don't need it. And, he's talking to two guys that are ETH maximalists who are toxic about it. Right.
Yeah.
And he was talking objectively about other chains, right? And how long they're going to take to get to decentralized, and decentralized has to be a primary goal, et cetera. And the two of them are trying to manipulate him into saying, well, wait a minute, the rest of these projects are shit. They're crap. They're scams. Anyway, the bottom line is, when you look at, he walks through, it's called The End Game, the episode of Bankless. He also did a post about it. But when you walk through the stages of what Ethereum's going to do to improve efficiency, move to proof of stake, reduce fees, and you get a really good understanding kind of at a technical level, not hardcore tech. Anybody can understand what he talked about for the most part. Then what you see is this could end up being a high performance, very fast, very scaled blockchain. And the fees may never get down to the pennies that he thinks it will, but they could eventually, probably after years, to get to a really low level and make it highly efficient. So I often talk about, I think, I've made the comments and tweets before that Ethereum is just going to end up becoming a blockchain of record where other layers write to it. And I still think that's a possibility for most things that happen. But I have a little more hope after that interview that it may end up in an even better place than that. And then it becomes efficient to actually launch things on it that don't require people to have $100,000 in their wallet to actually use them. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it was a very good article.
Yeah. Well, also, there's a big thing going on there, if I remember right. The amount that's being burned there, the tokens being burned, and the 1559, I think, implementation, and what that does as far as potentially squeezing supply.
Yep.
Did you get any more out of that in that podcast?
Nah, they weren't really talking about the burn so much. I mean, what he was going through was, they call them the urge stages. So it's the merge, the purge, the surge, something else, and what each of the stages of the upgrade are going to mean for Ethereum and for users, and how it's going to function, and how people that are currently staking with the old version are going to have to get out and move to the new version, and how everything's going to work. Essentially what he said was, if Ethereum stopped upgrading after the merge, he'd be okay with that, but it's going to be much better if all of the other pieces of the process happen. Right. So, but he didn't get a lot into the burn, at least not, it was a long interview. So I may have blanked out a couple of times during the course of the conversation, but for the most part, it was, here are the stages. Here's what's going to happen. Here's how it functions and why he thinks it's so important to the future of Ethereum. And it was a good interview.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Because I think that's the other thing is, when September, October started kicking in, there was a lot of attention around, 1559 and the token burns on Ethereum, and where it was going, a big Q4. We had a lot of talk about a big Q4 based upon that. And then that kind of got stalled out just because, it's not an easy implementation process.
Yeah, exactly.
So, did he give any more, what I'm getting at, did he give any more guidelines in that as to what timing on that kind of thing?
So he didn't give specifics for when the merge starts and finishes. He did say that the next phase would start 6 months after that. My assumption is that they're probably 6 months away at least from starting the first part, the merge, but maybe it happens sooner. But he didn't give any hard dates on when that's going to start. He did talk about the fact that there's still a list of bugs they're working through on it. So it sounded like, and he may just be being conservative. He doesn't want to give any dates because he's burned himself so many times in the past.
Yeah.
So who knows? But look, the good news is I feel pretty confident about their process, right? I'd rather they be conservative. A linchpin of the entire crypto economy doing this haphazardly or fast is a bad idea. So, one of the questions I would have asked him if I was interviewing him is, what's the rollback, right? Is this a thing where once you take that step, everybody's fucked if something goes wrong? You know what I mean? Like, or is this something that they could theoretically just roll back on the chain and say, okay, fuck it, we'll roll back the upgrade and wait until we get it right? Right. I would assume they could.
Yeah.
But who knows? And look, they have thousands of people on that core team building this, and they have an entire research unit. So hopefully they're gaming out everything, but still, makes me nervous. So
yeah, well, they got plenty of resources. If another tech comes up that they can use to enhance that somehow, or some like go-to. I mean, you see all the action, like all the buying Polygon's been doing lately. They're clearly making a big play for stuff with the resources, knowing that these resources don't always last forever.
Yep.
And when you got them, you need to start spending them. So
anyway, I think that there's a good future for Ethereum, and I think it's undervalued, and I think that there's with the deflationary piece that you were talking about makes it a very attractive hold for me personally.
Yeah, no, I'm waiting to watch it drop some more before I get back in. I kind of tend to exit in the 4,000s every time it gets there, somewhere in that range, just because I'm like, been there already once,
Take that profit.
Yeah, so now I just do it. But I think in that space, so we talk a lot about Phantom and Avalanche and Solana and Terra and all of those other blockchains. We don't know how this all ultimately comes together. How it's all like, what all these blockchains look like. What does the universe look like at that point and each blockchain maybe in a galaxy, let's say. how do they all work together? And so I think that's what makes it exciting for me about every time Ethereum kind of slows down and doesn't hit that, expectation that I guess it's just been this year that people have expected, then it comes roaring back. So to me, I think that, we don't know what deals they're probably have cooked up or they're talking to other groups about already.
Right.
But it seems to me when you start seeing the other ones really go like Phantom and maybe Atom and maybe even the Kronos stuff off of crypto.com. I think you start seeing stuff like that actually going, then I think that's when Ethereum's close to that that stage, when you're going to get the actual real burns going or the real like token supply impacts. And that's when everything's going to go crazy. Now, then does Ethereum become more Bitcoin-y and replace Bitcoin, or does Bitcoin go away? I mean, who knows what happens there? But I just think there's so much exciting stuff happening here. And we started the show talking about, ETH being at roughly 3,000 and I think BTC at 42 or 41. A year ago, if everybody told you those are going to be the numbers, would you have taken those numbers? Hell yeah.
Right.
So we're like in this thing where we're so spoiled because we're used to the numbers just going up so fast that, now everybody's nervous. But, I mean, every time you start feeling like this, I was feeling this way around like July 10th, and then all of a sudden everything just started rocketing. And then 3 or 4 weeks into that, I was talking to you and I said, man, look at these 4 or 5 like weekly green candle closes. I'm like, I didn't even really notice it.
Right.
And then I think it went up to like 12 of them maybe, or 8 or 9.
Yeah, I started buying at the beginning of that.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the stuff that keeps happening.
Yep.
And so, I think there's always going to be problems, but think about where we were in the year 2000, or right after the .com crash and 9/11 and all of that. I mean, it was looking pretty bleak. I think Amazon was at $8.
Yep.
I don't even know if there was a Google then at that point. I can't remember. Maybe, but they were still giving out just email accounts. It was a search engine and some email accounts basically at that point. So, but all of these, Facebook, think about the YouTube was a separate company. These were all separate things. And now, all of these companies have come out since 2005 that we never even thought about in 2000.
That's right.
Because we didn't have the smartphone at that point to develop on. So I see here with crypto, we're kind of in a similar spot where, it's made some inroads and traditional markets are starting to figure out how to use it. And, hustle markets are making money and this and that. And now it's at the point where, the good stuff's going to succeed and, a lot of the stuff's going to fall away.
That's right.
So I don't ever fret like this. I start looking at where am I going to go next in these situations, and I try to wait it out.
Yeah, me too.
But it's not fun.
Look, I mean, I'm actually, so here's the thing this gives me time for, right? Right now, it's like, okay, I've had this thesis for my fundamentals of, real life transitions, infrastructure, the kinds of things I've been looking at for the tokens, right? But I've also been aping into shit for months, right? Like we have been, and we made money doing it, right? Mm-hmm. Which was great. It was fun. Now, this gives me the opportunity to go back to all of those theses and the models that I had for this and say, okay, where are we, right? Like how much fundamentals do I have and how much ape do I have? And now let's take some of that ape profit and put it into some fundamentals, right? And whether that's rebase fundamentals, single token fundamentals, whatever, to me, this is an opportunity to really dive deeper on some of those things while still aping when appropriate, right? So I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with We're Forked. I think we're going to have a great time.
Well, you look at like ones like, I'm not picking on anybody, but like say, Geyser, we talk about a lot, Alchemix, all of those. But see, we've been talking to those companies for a year. So what's interesting is you look back and you see, you kind of remember having a conversation with them in maybe in March when they said they were going to do this or they had this problem to solve. And you just see like, well, did they solve the problem?
Right.
What happened? And so if you see 2 or 3 execution pivots in that year, that are good ones. That these guys, gals, whatever, are survivors.
Yep.
So we talk about execution risk. That's where you want the money to be.
Yeah.
Teams like that. Not teams that even the ones that look like rug pulls and stuff. As long as they keep doing more and more rug pulls, trying to get it right, then to me, I'm kind of like, I don't look at those as being like, they're stealing the money. I look at it as being they're trying to figure out how to pivot and make it work.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but anyhow, I see you smudging your camera and stuff, so I think it might.
No, I'm trying to find out why it went out of focus all of a sudden. That was weird. Like, is it out of focus on your side?
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck happened. There we go. Just had to touch it a little. Just had to give it a little pet.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Little pet. Just
that's
a
what
little
she
pet.
said. That's what
oh
she
my
said.
God, Joe.
Couldn't resist.
Joe
But that's why we're unfiltered on this.
Exactly. Unfiltered, uncensored.
So
no one can stop us. We are the decentralized.
The barricades up
podcast.
The Wi-Fi VPN is on a drone flying over the neighborhood right now, so nobody can actually pinpoint the location. That's why.
All right, buddy. Good to see you.
Of course, man.
We'll get everybody. Hey, get in the Discord, people. B05 Crypto is the DM on Telegram and Twitter. B05 Crypto or B05 Crypto #2143 #2143 on Discord. Please join us if you want to get in. We're going to close it all out for the foreseeable future tomorrow at midnight. Make your commitment. Get in the Google Sheet. Message me. I'll send you the link. Join the Discord. We'll add you to the We're Fork channels in the Discord, and we're going to get this thing rolling. So,
hey, thanks a lot, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron. Love you too. Thanks for watching and listening. Everybody, thank you for watching and listening. And, as Joe says, keep your powder dry. We'll see what happens here, but I'm excited for the future. Yeah, and we will have everything ready for tomorrow, and I look forward to launching on that journey as well. That's going to be exciting. So, absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. See you, Joe. Cheers. See you later, Brad. Bye. Bye-bye.